All right, let me tell you about the time that Bonobo wanted to learn to drive a car. Okay? So, Bonobo was a big fat monkey. And what did Bonobo like eating?
Banana.
He loved eating bananas.
But not spicy food.
No, Bonobo didn't like spicy food. But he liked, no, Bonobo liked banana.
Yes. And apples.
And apples. And,
yes, apples.
And he knew, and he also liked,
apples.
And he liked apfelsaft. He loved apfelsaft.
Me too.
So, you know what? So, Bonobo...
Banana.
Yes. So, Bonobo ate so many apples, so many bananas, and now he wanted apfelsaft. But there was no apfelsaft in the jungle. There was no apple... Yeah, there was no apple juice in the jungle. So, he had to drive to town in order... He had to drive to town in order to get to buy some apple juice. But the problem was Bonobo did not know how to drive a car. But there was an old car in the jungle that nobody had used in many years. And Bonobo thought to himself, what if I enter this car and I drive it to town and then I can go buy some apple juice? So Bonobo jumped into the car and he saw the steering wheel. So what does the steering wheel do in the car?
It drives.
Yes, but it makes the car go left and right. But Bonobo didn't know that. So Bonobo jumped in and he turned on the car and the car started going. And then Bonobo was going straight and straight and straight, and there was a cliff and a great big hole in front of him. And Bonobo didn't know how to make the car go left or how to make the car go right. So what can Bonobo do?
I don't know. Don't know.
So what would you tell Bonobo to do if you were there?
I don't know.
Bonobo was supposed to turn the steering, but he didn't turn the steering. And he was coming closer and closer and closer to the hole. And he didn't know how to turn the steering. And he pushed the button on the car. And you know what happened? The radio came on. And the radio was now coming, and he was getting closer and closer and closer to the cliff. And then he moved a little stick. And you know what happened? The car went faster to the cliff and faster. And he was getting closer and closer. And Bonobo was screaming and saying, how do I get out of this? What do I do? And then he had an idea. His phone was there. So he picked up his phone and he called his friend, his best friend. And told his friend, I'm in my car right now and we're driving really fast and we're getting to a cliff and I'm going to fall down and I don't know how to drive the car. What do I do? And his friend said, turn the steering to the right, Bonobo. Turn the steering to the right. And they were getting closer and closer to the hole and they were just about to fall in. And then Bonobo turned his steering to the right and the car went roll to the right and continued down the road. And he kept going and going and going. And then down at the bottom he saw the shop.
Yeah. Who does his friend called? Who does it called?
His friend is Sheep. His friend is the sheep. Yeah. So at the bottom of the mountain was the shop. And inside the shop was all the apple juice. And Bonobo was going very, very quickly down, but he didn't know how to stop the car. How does one stop a car from moving?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I don't know.
So if you want to find out, how do you find out?
I don't know.
You have to ask Mama, because Mama stops the car. So Bonobo was in the car and the car was going down, but he didn't know how to stop it. And the car was going straight for the supermarket, going towards the supermarket very, very fast. And he didn't know how to stop the car. And he thought, aha, I remember what I did last time. Maybe I'll do it again. What did he do last time?
I don't.
He called his friend. So he called his friend Sheep and said, Sheep, how do I stop the car? And Sheep said, I don't know. I've never stopped the car. And Bonobo started screaming, ah, and Sheep started screaming, ah. and he drove straight down. Bam! Bang! He drove straight through and into the supermarket with his car. And everybody in the supermarket started screaming too. There's a car with a big monkey inside. And he drove in and went, and then he was driving at full speed past where the apple juice is. And he put his hand out and he grabbed the apple juice. And then he drove straight to the cashier, to the castle. And then there, he dropped the apple juice and the cashier said, that's going to cost you €1. And he said, okay. And he paid and drove away. And that's how Bonobo learned how to drive a car. The end.
Papa, them.
That's the end.